The age-old question for Texas fans, are the Longhorns back? Oklahoma is in the market for a new defensive coordinator, and might we see an NBA team in Seattle? All this and more on College Crossfire.
I guess we'll get into it. Always enthusiastic, unbelievable, hard-nosed.
All right, let me explain why Aaron Judge is getting it. You can boo me all you want.
I knew Texas was going to win, right? And then one of the Texas team was going to lose.
Cannon. I don't like the cannon.
Oh, wait, you don't like this guy?
All right, I'm done. This is all chaos. Welcome into College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jonathan Polasek. We've got a great show for you tonight. We're welcoming in 3 longtime veterans to tonight's show, but let's start with our returning champion, Turner Barnes. Turner, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Next up, we've got Henry Corwin. Henry,
great to be back. It's been a while, first time this semester, but looking to add to my collection of one ring.
One ring. Let's see if we can't. Let's see if we can't make it another. Yeah. And last but not least, Sean Mapes. Sean, how you doing?
Doing great. Always looking for another win, and feel energized and ready to go.
No 4-peat this time, but you know, you start a new streak. So glad to have you all on tonight. Let's just jump right on it. It was a big week for Texas football as the Longhorns went into the Cotton Bowl this past weekend and thoroughly dominated the Sooners before OU mounted a furious comeback to tie the game. But Dicker the kicker came through and sent the Sooners back to Norman with a loss. So with the way the Longhorns played this weekend, is it time to start buying the hype around Texas football? Let's start with Turner.
Well, you know, for me personally, I refuse to say those three words in a row. I will not say those 3 words in a row. But I've been on this hype train since before the season started, and I've never gotten off. You see, Texas has a lot of talent on offense, big playmaking ability with a solid run game to complement it, and on defense, they have a lot of young talent with some veterans that bring in the discipline side. The only really thing, Herman's been improving a lot as the season goes along. The only thing that really concerns me from this team is this is the 3rd time that a team has come back late in the game, and that's just because of conservative play calling, trying to manage the clock in the middle of the 3rd quarter, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if this Texas team and the Texas staff can learn to just put the foot on the throat of the opponents and just finish the game, of course I'm on this hype train. This is a great team, and I'm looking forward to see where they go in the Big 12.
No, yeah, Texas definitely needs to keep their foot on the gas, but they have shown that they can ice out games with long, game-ending drives. Saw that with Kansas State, and then calmly coming down for the win against the Sooners. Henry?
Yeah, I have to mostly agree with Turner. Like he said, I haven't really been willing to say Texas is back, even though I just said it just now.
Yeah.
But, you know, this Texas team, they've been playing great. I understand. They've really been playing well, but they still have to go up against a West Virginia team. And, you know, like Turner said, there are some games where, you know, they're supposed to blow these teams out of the water, and they barely scrape by. I understand a win is a win is a win, but, you know, it only takes one choke job and losing to a team that they're supposed to beat for the season to start collapsing. So. And with Texas, you never know. So I guess we'll see. Yeah,
Texas. We've seen Texas have the highest of highs, and they've come crashing back down. Hadn't happened this season yet. Who knows? They got Baylor up next. Sean?
I don't think it's time to buy the hype because the hype train left the station 2 wins ago, baby. Against USC, thank you. Against USC, that this team showed is different. It went down early. They went down early, and they came back and held the Trojans scoreless the whole second half. TCU, it was they gave us a big win last week. Let's see if they let us down. They didn't. OU, they went up 3 touchdowns. Now, they lost a 3-touchdown lead, but like you said, Dicker the kicker iced the game with that stone-cold demeanor he had on the sideline. I think that there's something different about this Texas team. I mean, this Texas team already has 5 wins. Charlie Strong would call that a season. So I think you should definitely buy into the hype. If you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing.
You know what, Sean? I am giving you the point. I mean, this after USC, the defense thoroughly dominated the second half. The offense finally came alive. We saw that Tom Herman offense finally come through. So you know what? We're starting off with you getting the point. And speaking of the Week 1 loss to Maryland, that feels so long ago with the way the Longhorns have played in recent weeks. Texas has done a complete 180 both offensively and defensively since losing to Maryland 34-29. But just how different is this current Longhorns team compared to the team that went up to Maryland 5 weeks ago? Start with Henry.
I mean, I really think it's just their confidence and the way they're preparing for these games. You know, I actually have a theory that I think that Maryland loss may have been a wake-up call that, you know, because they came into the season with a lot of hype. They got some great recruits, but with that Maryland loss, it really told them that no matter who they play each and every week, they really got to be on top of their game. And so I really just think the way they're preparing for games and their confidence has really just skyrocketed. But I mean, with Texas, like I said, like you never know what can happen, and you know the way that, like I said, they play up to their competition, they play down to their competition. So maybe that was the case for Maryland. I think that was the case for Maryland, where they kind of played down to their competition and ended up losing. And you know that's what would concern most Texas fans going forward, is how they're going to fare against these teams that they're supposed to blow out.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And Tom Herman said that Texas has to bring their A+ game every week. They can't just win with their C game. They can't play an average game and expect to win on a week-to-week basis yet. Sean?
I think this is definitely a different team. That Maryland game, it was an 11 a.m. Kickoff, and it kind of felt like they were a little sluggish. They went down early, and when they got it going, they got it going. But then Sam Ehlinger had some costly interceptions. Trey Watson fumbled, and I think that's the main difference between that team week 1 and this team now. Sam Ehlinger has not thrown a pick since that Maryland game. The turnovers have been way down. They had 3 in that game. They haven't had more than 1 in a game since. They've had, actually, the last 2 games, they've had 0. I think that's the real difference in this team. The defense regained its form that it was at last year. I feel like the defense is the most bankable commodity on this Texas team. It really is Ehlinger that made the leap this past few weeks.
Yeah, Sam Ehlinger, he has received that confidence from Tom Herman. Tom Herman, even after that the 2 interceptions in the 4th quarter against Maryland, Tom Herman said, "You're still my guy. You're still my guy. Just go out and do what I know that you can do." Turner?
Yeah, you know, you may think, oh, it's the same team. They got the same players. Nobody's switched or anything. They got the same coach, same logo, but no, it's a completely different mindset. Completely different mindset.
Same colors.
The Maryland game, Texas went 3 and out 4 times. 2 times of those 4 times, Maryland went and scored the very next drive. And all of it starts with Sam Ehlinger. He looks like he's matured overnight. He showed poise, he showed accuracy, playmaking ability, and most of all, toughness. And that toughness has just found its way to all the other Texas players. This team is playing tough on both sides of the ball. Some people have, I'm not saying this is the way it should be, but some people have Sam Ehlinger on their Heisman list. That's how he's playing at that kind of. Some people, not me, but some people have him on their list as a Heisman candidate. And that's just the kind of energy and toughness he's bringing to this team, and it's completely different.
I mean, he has brought the toughness, he's brought the grit, and most importantly, he's brought the wins for Texas, and that's something that Texas hasn't seen in a long time. But you know what, Henry, I'm going with you. Texas, over the years, it seems like they have played up and down to their competition, and with Baylor coming up, they're coming off a big win. They got to keep their energy and their physicality up against the Baylor Bears. So Texas currently sits at 5-1 and 3-0 in the Big 12. Texas is currently tied with West Virginia for first in the Big 12, and with Texas's most difficult portion of the schedule out of the way, Texas could make a run at the Big 12 title. So it's time for some buy or sell. Texas wins out and wins the Big 12 this year. Start with Sean.
I'm going to sell that they win the Big 12, but they are in a prime position to make it to the Big 12 title game in AT&T Stadium. They obviously have a 1-game lead on everyone except for West Virginia. They have actually more than a 1-game lead on some teams. And they really only have 3 tough tests. They go to Stillwater in a couple weeks. Then they go. Then they have West Virginia at home, and then they go to Lubbock. Other than that, these are all games that they should win. So I think they might. West Virginia is probably a better team. I think that's safe to say. Even though it is going to be at DKR, I have a hard time seeing Texas win that one. But I don't think that they can quite get to the point where we can say they're absolutely winning the Big 12 just because this team hasn't done that. None of these guys have been consistent players for a whole season. So pumping the brakes a little, but they definitely should compete.
Yeah, so maybe it's time to slow down just a little bit. I mean, Texas, they're a different team. They look better than last year, but are they ready for the Big 12 title?
Games.
They still got a half a season left. Turner?
I'm going to disagree. I may come out a little bit strong and optimistic, but for Texas to not be the favorite to win the Big 12 right now is just not right. They beat OU, who was already the favorite to win the Big 12. And then the only other game I'm really concerned about is, like he said, was West Virginia. And I was worried about that at the beginning of the year. But after seeing how the Texas defense handled Kyler Murray in that Oklahoma offense, I'm not near as concerned as I was before. I was worried about the good athletes and the passing attack from West Virginia, but the Texas defense showed that they know how to handle that. And like you said, it's at DKR with a big home field advantage. I think Texas is poised and should be able to win the Big 12 and win the Big 12 championship. It's not going to be easy, but they definitely have the biggest chance of representing the Big 12 in possibly the college football playoff.
Oh, we even talking a little college football playoff? Maybe. I don't know about that,
if they
but
win out and win the Big 12, watch out.
I don't know. Henry?
Well, like I said previously, I wasn't really ready to buy the hype because, like I said, this Texas team at times can be inconsistent. And, this Big 12 conference is good, it has really a lot of great teams. So, that being said, I'm going to buy the hype. I think, listen, this Texas team, like I said before, they've been playing great. They've really showed that. I think they can hang around with anybody. I agree with Turner. I think winning the Big 12 title should be a realistic goal for them for this season, with the way they look from Ellinger, who's been playing great, like Turner said, he matured overnight. I think that's the perfect way to put it. He's been playing great. The way their receivers look and the way their pass rush has been, I think that they really just look like Sean said, they. So I'm really just agreeing with everyone. But
Okay.
they most of these games they should be winning. And West Virginia is their ultimate test, but if they get through there and just continue this confidence, and remember that we're the Longhorns. Look at the history of the Longhorns; they've consistently been a team to beat. And I think they really can win that.
I mean, I'm also buying the hype, but I'm going with Turner getting the point because that defense has shown that they can contain the elite quarterbacks. They have to do it for 4 full quarters. They a little 6 minutes there, but if they can do it for 4 full quarters, I think Texas has a shot, and they're playing their toughest remaining game on the schedule at DKR. Honestly, it's now become a nightmare for opposing teams. So, Turner, you're getting the point. And when we return, we're talking Oklahoma and Mike Stoops, and the Philadelphia Eagles are in the market for a new running back. Stick around. Welcome back to College Crossfire. Let's remind everybody of the score. We got Turner with 1, Henry with 1, and Sean with 1. So it's still anybody's game. So let's move on. Oklahoma is officially out a defensive coordinator after giving up 501 yards of total offense and not forcing a single turnover against the Longhorns. Mike Stoops, the longtime Sooners defensive coordinator and brother of former OU coach Bob Stoops, is out of a job. In the meantime, Ruffin McNeil will take over play calling duties. With him in charge, can OU turn their defense around mid-season? Let's start with Turner.
Well, it's not going to be too hard to turn it around from what it was. It wasn't the best defense in the world by any stretch of the imagination. But absolutely, Oklahoma, they have a lot of talented players, and they got the guy to do it. Ruffin McNeil, he's done it before. He was the interim defensive coordinator for Tech in 2007, and then he won the job for 2 years, and then he was the interim head coach for Tech in the Alamo Bowl in 2010, and he won the game. So he's not a stranger to midseason changes, and as long as he doesn't just completely scrap the scheme, the players know the scheme, they know about what they're supposed to do. So as long as he doesn't scrap the scheme, I think they have the people to do it. It's not going to be a championship caliber defense, but it's definitely going to be better.
For Oklahoma, it's really just got to be a good enough job at this point. You can't overhaul it, but it's got to be good enough. Henry?
Well, the thing that's great about Oklahoma, for their sake, is that they don't have to worry too much about their defense being spectacular. And I think a fresh voice is good, especially with the way Oklahoma's defense has been playing. But, mid-season, a new voice, I don't know how that's really going to work because, their schemes might be similar, but it's still a new voice, still going to be a little bit different play calling. And the bottom line is the game is won with the players on the field. And, these guys, these college kids are going to have to adjust to a new voice on the fly, and they got to pick it up because with losing to Texas, their margin for error is definitely shrinking. So I think it's going to be tough for them to really be able to find for their defense to really improve greatly in a new voice.
Yeah, it is going to be hard for these athletes to adjust because it is a new play caller. He's got his own idiosyncrasies and everything that he wants to do. So it may be a little tough, but they may be able to do it. Sean?
Yeah, y'all mentioned that he might, you know, you don't want to scrap the scheme. Maybe they should scrap the scheme because this defense is really bad. They've allowed their opponents to convert on third downs 42% of the time. That's good for 98th overall in the country. And my favorite stat that they showed during the broadcast, during the Red River Showdown, it was their red zone defense. They've allowed points on 100% of opponents' possessions in the red zone. That's not good. I think Ruffin McNeil can improve that. Just get a stop once. I mean, the guy missed a field goal. I mean, you don't even have to stop him. But I definitely think that this team is still going to be in contention in the Big 12 and like a national power. Because at the end of the day, with this offense, with Kyler Murray, you can still just outscore folks.
Yeah, they can, but as we saw in the playoffs last year, it takes a defense to also win.
But
Not enough.
They still made it to the playoffs.
They still made it, but the ultimate goal is to win a championship.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm going with Turner. Oklahoma, they have the athletes, they have the players. It's just a matter of can they have a coach who could get them in the right position. So, Turner, you're getting the point. We're moving on to the NFL. The Eagles have been hit hard by the injury bug this year. Starting running back Jay Ajayi is out for the season with a torn ACL. So where do the Eagles go from here? They've been linked to Le'Veon Bell in recent weeks, but should the Eagles trade for him, or should they look at someone else? Let's start with Henry.
Yeah, I really do think this is a perfect time for them to trade for Le'Veon Bell. You know, Le'Veon Bell kind of is holding the Steelers hostage. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but I'm talking about the Steelers. You know, they don't want to lose him for nothing. And their relationship now, as more and more time goes by, it could be beyond repair now. And, you know, before his trade value plummets when, you know, other teams realize that the Steelers are going to have to get rid of him or else they're going to get nothing for him, I think now is a perfect time for the Eagles to kind of let the Steelers know that, I mean, they can kind of use that as leverage to say, well, your relationship may be beyond repair. He's probably not going to come back anyway now. And so the Eagles can kind of use that as leverage to get him. And with Jay Ajayi?
Yes.
With Jay Ajayi out, you know, this Eagles team, defending Super Bowl champions, if they can get a player of the caliber of Le'Veon Bell, they could be right back in the hunt.
I mean, they get someone like Le'Veon Bell, I think that they are probably, not only are the favorites in their own division, but they may be the favorites to go back to the Super Bowl. Sean?
Yeah, I don't think they should make the trade for Le'Veon Bell. Just when you take into account the price tag it's going to take to do it. The Steelers have already put out there they're looking for a second-round pick and, quote, a good player. I don't know what that means. But they're looking for at least a second-round pick. And I don't think they're not looking for bad players. Okay. I don't think that's a good deal for them, especially you're going to have to give up the second-round pick and then probably have to pay Le'Veon Bell. Otherwise, you're just giving away a second-round pick for 10 games. So I don't think they should do it. You know, you can find a running back anywhere. Look at running backs across the league. There's a whole bunch of fourth-round picks, fifth-round undrafted guys. You can find running backs without finding a big-name running back. If they really want one, a name to look for is LaShawn McCoy. He's a former Eagle. He's the franchise leader in rushing, and I think his price tag's already lower, years-wise and money-wise. I think LaShawn McCoy is going to cost less, and it's going to cost less to get him.
LaShawn McCoy would definitely be a great option for the Eagles. I mean, because he's cheaper, and he still can be that game-changing running back. Turner?
You know, I think every NFL team wants LaShawn McCoy. I think he's the best running back in the game. Todd Gurley's a close second. But
talking about Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, what did I say?
You said LaShawn McCoy.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Le'Veon Bell. I'm sorry. Le'Veon Bell, I think he's the best running back in the game. Todd Gurley's close second. Everybody should want him, but the price tag's too high. He wants a long-term deal, and with Carson Wentz and Jordan Hicks' contract years coming up, they just can't afford it. And talking about picks, they have 3 picks in the first 2 rounds. And with a very talented running back class this next year, I think they should hold on to those, not trade those away, and just trade for somebody like Shady McCoy or Amir Abdullah. The running back by committee worked for them last year. They won the Super Bowl. They didn't have a star running back. And so why not try it again and try and get that star running back that might slip next year in the draft?
I mean, I don't know, because the offense just hasn't looked the same. It doesn't have the same punch as it did last year. So, Henry, I'm going with you. You're getting the point. I think it is time for the Eagles to go for someone of Le'Veon Bell's caliber, because they sign him, they succeed, they do well, and perhaps he leads them back to the Super Bowl and resigns. So, who knows?
Possible.
Moving on to the NBA, Kevin Durant, one-time member of the Seattle Supersonics, now a member of the Golden State Warriors, was seen wearing a Supersonics jersey during warm-ups before a preseason game in Seattle. It's been a long time since the NBA had a team in Seattle, but should the NBA return, and what would the team name be? Let's start with Sean.
I think they should definitely come back. I mean, you can see there's still an appetite for basketball in the Seattle area. And as far as names go, I mean, it's hard to beat Seattle Supersonics. That's an iconic name. I mean, there's already such history behind it. But for whatever reason, legal reasons, the Thunder don't want to sell it back to them. Whatever. I mean, that's the problem the Texans and Titans with the Oilers name have. So if you have to pick another name, I think, you know, if they're expansion team, it's a Seattle team coming back from the dead. It's coming out from nowhere, the Zombies. Just call them the Seattle Zombie Sonics. Just come back from the dead.
I like it. I like it. Turner, what do you think?
The NBA should definitely go back to Seattle. That place is crazy about sports. You got the Seahawks who have a great home field advantage, the Sounders and the Timbers. Timbers in Portland, but same area. It's a great place for sports. But if I were to make a team in Seattle, give me the Seattle Squatch. You know, the people up in the Pacific Northwest, people in the Pacific Northwest are crazy about Bigfoot. It's fun, it's different, and honestly, it's a little intimidating, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I like that intimidating factor you come in. It fits well with Seattle, like you said, with the home court and the home field advantages that they have in other sports. So the Seattle Squash you come in, I don't know if I'd be very excited to play there. Henry?
Yeah, well, you know, ever since the Supersonics left Seattle and became Oklahoma City Thunder, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, bringing a team back to Seattle, especially with, they really left at the worst time. They just got Kevin Durant, and I think they just drafted Russell Westbrook, and then after that they drafted James Harden, and they had great years with those three, and then with Westbrook and just Harden. So I think definitely there's been a lot of talk about bringing a team back to Seattle, and if they were going to bring a team back, I actually have a few names that I'll just throw out there, see what you think. So
it's only supposed to be one name.
Well, I put in extra words.
Let's get your best name. Let's get the best name.
My best name? The Seattle Show.
The Seattle Show. I like it, but you know what? I like the intimidation factor. I'm going with the Seattle Squatch. When you think Seattle, you think toughness, you think intimidation. So Turner, you're getting the point to take us out. So great debate, guys. That's it for now. We've got Rapid Fire up next. Stick around. Back to college Crossfire. It's time for Rapid Fire, but let's remind everybody of the score. We got Turner with 3, Henry with 2, and Sean with 1. Now in Rapid Fire, it's still anybody's game because each question is worth 2 points, and you can jump in at any time. So let's start with the NFL. Drew Brees, he's in a class of his own. He just passed Peyton Manning as the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards with 72,103 yards. He's one of 5 active quarterbacks that sit in the top 10 in total passing. You'll get 1 point for each of the other 4 active quarterbacks in the top 10 that you can name.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, Turner with
Phillip
1.
Rivers.
Phillip Rivers.
He's not active.
Phillip Rivers.
Oh, wait, how many are there? 4?
Matt Stafford.
Not Matt Stafford. So we got Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers.
Aaron Rodgers?
Not Aaron Rodgers. We got 2 more. We got one that plays in the AFC North. And
Joe Flacco? Oh, Ben
Roethlisberger.
Not Joe
Sean with
Flacco, no
1.
way.
Eli Manning. Sean got the other
Eli
one.
Manning's
I was
in the
going to say
top
Eli
10?
Manning, but I was like, no.
Yes, Eli Manning. He's in the top 10.
Old washed up dude.
Yeah.
He's in the top 10. He's in the
Not
top
bad,
10.
not
So
bad.
with his last rapid fire, it's still anybody's game. The Philadelphia Flyers have a new mascot.
Oh my gosh,
It was met with a lot of hatred originally, but fans have grown to really love it. So my question for you is, what other team, any professional sports team, what team needs a new mascot, and what should it be? Now this one,
I don't know. I don't really care what they change it to, but K-State needs to change that mascot. The guy with the mascot head and then the normal person arms and body, that thing is that thing is more scary than that Philadelphia Flyers thing you just saw. That is ridiculous. They need to get something like even that old-looking Penn State Tiger, anything but that weird Wildcat head with the human arms. That's just gross.
I'll tell you who needs a new one. I forget the name of the college, but there was this video that went viral of some mascot shot himself in the crotch with a...
That's Colorado.
Colorado. They just have to retire that mascot. Just clean slate, go completely fresh after that.
With the t-shirt cannon?
Unfortunately, yeah.
all right.
Cringe.
All right, keeping college football, Alabama Crimson Tide. You know, the SEC, they have a lot of live animal mascots. Think LSU, think Georgia. You know where I'm going with this. Bring an elephant on the field, folks. Alabama, prove that you're the biggest, prove that you're the best. Get an elephant out on the field. I mean, you probably have to, change the stadium a little bit. Get an elephant out there just to one-up everybody. Prove that you're the best.
You know what? Prove that you're the best in college football. One up, everybody. Sean, you're getting the points. You're also getting the win. So, Sean, you are our champion. Do we have time for FaceTime? No time for FaceTime? Well, you know what? We don't have time for FaceTime right now, but after the show, head on over to TSTV Sports on Facebook to catch Sean's FaceTime. And so that's all the time that we have for tonight. Congratulations to our winner, Sean Mapes. Make sure to tune in on Mondays at 9:30 for College Press Box to catch up on the latest sports news on the 40 Acres. And tune in with us next Wednesday at 9 o'clock for more College Crossfire. Don't forget to follow at TSTV Sports on social media. And for all the panelists and everyone in studio and master control, I'm Jonathan Polasek. Have a wonderful evening.